everybody, KCJJ. It is now time for Rex Brandstatter Senior Talk, brought to you by the Solon American Legion.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, this is Rex Brandstatter, and it is time for Senior Talk on a beautiful August day, and I'm telling you, underline the word beautiful and add the word comfortable. My. After one day of global warming, that's all I'll attest to and believe in. One day of global warming on Monday was 98 degrees, for God's sake, and the next morning at 0600 when I was out, it was 66 degrees, so a 30 degrees less or so, and it's nice now. So get out there. State Fair opens tomorrow. We've got a lot of wonderful things you could do in weather like this, so let's take advantage. Well, welcome to Senior Talk, the weekly radio program where we seniors try to figure out what's cooking. And we'll do a lot of things like we hope to talk to you about different things that could be receptive in your family or with your friends or people you might know that you might pick up on one thing or a couple things, and we'll see what we can do. You know, thank you for listening so much to Senior Talk. We're going to talk retirement and health, income, lack thereof, financial issues, expenses, too many, family, living arrangements, and more. And we'll work on all of these as we go. You really, truly might pick up on something that could be of interest to you. And I do my best to bring lots and lots of different things to you. So that's what we're going to do. We'll also talk some senior stuff, including past people, places, and events. We're going to take a little trip downtown Iowa City here in just a little bit. So grab yourself a sandwich and a nice cold root beer, and let's see what we can cook up on this beautiful day before the Iowa State Fair opens, day in August. My name is Rex Brandstatter. I'm 75 years old, and I've been a licensed Iowa real estate broker since 1974, and I work mainly with seniors and senior families. I work with powers of attorney for seniors, work with executors, estates, bank trust departments, owners of property like that. So if you're in that position or you just want to talk about the value of your property, why, please give me a call. I have a senior line, which is 319-330-5534, 330-5534. Had an interesting call this morning from a friend of a friend type of a thing. And some of the family feels that another person in the family is maybe has some remembrance issues and things like that, and how can they help them sell a property? And the answer to that is somebody has to be power of attorney. If that relative who you think has issues, have they been diagnosed as having issues from a doctor? If they have, they can no longer appoint you power of attorney. It'll have to be done through the courts. So I'm pretty sure, I'm not an attorney, but so if I have power of attorney for my wife, and she has power of attorney for me. That would be in case of a stroke where I couldn't handle my affairs, or she couldn't handle her affairs, or surgery where she's going to be down and out, and we're trying to make some decisions for a couple of days while she's out of it, or me, one of the things like that. Advanced directives are called so that something does happen to my wife, and the doctor tells me, well, Rex, we can only keep her alive on a machine. I have the power to make decisions, and vice versa. That's called power of attorney, durable power of attorney. You should have one on each other. If you don't, you're kind of kidding yourself. You'll get in some position that you can't make a decision for the other. And wouldn't that hurt? Wouldn't that hurt? In this world, you have to have it in writing. If nobody believes you, the doctors are going to say, hey, your wife is not doing good. What do you think? Here are her options. You're not going to get a chance to do that. So give me a call on my senior line. We'll talk. If you'd like to know what your property's worth, I can certainly help you with that. And I'm at the 319-330-5534. I'll be happy to take the time for sure and talk to you. Well, this weather is, I'm going to raise my hand and say that I'm looking to be the man in charge of weather for the next 4 or 5 days. I won't put my hand down if you think I was in charge on Monday. Man, that was terrible. That was just terrible. So this current warm and nice weather is going to be wonderful for people, especially those of you who have outdoor plans. I do too, outdoor plans over the weekend. It's going to be a great, great weekend. So let's see what we can do. If you're going to go to the fair, make it a day at the fair. Don't go up there for 2 hours. Just go there and enjoy it. That is for sure. In lieu of things like that, how about maybe you go to Des Moines? Why don't you head over to West Branch? This weekend it's Hoover Days, and also the 150th birthday party for the only president from the state of Iowa, Herbert Hoover. in the Herbert Hoover Presidential Libraries over there. This weekend, tours of the library and museum are open to the public and free. How about that? That's not a bad deal. So on the grounds in downtown, they said they're going to have vendors and music playing and things like that. So take a run over to 9 miles to the east, over to West Branch, and enjoy yourself. For a lot going on for Hoover Days over there. Why not? What a great Midwest thing to do. Well, a senior lady called me and asked this. We want to do, this is really an interesting and a fun call. We want to do something important and lasting for our 2 grandkids. They are both in elementary school, and both are nice kids, active kids, and good students. What can we do? And I said, well, you said lasting. The word that stuck out with me there is lasting. And so here's what I recommend that they talk about and seek more information on. I can't tell them what to do. I would never do it. But I recommend that they maybe go online or call their accountant and talk about a college fund. Now, the college fund in Iowa, I think it's a 529. Anyhow, you can talk to your accountant. They'll know. Talk to your attorney. They know all that kind of stuff. And you can put money into their name, put it in the bank, and it'll grow and grow and grow. By the time these kids are in junior high, you can keep adding to it. There are limitations, but it'll grow and be more there when they're ready to go. And there are some tax ramification benefits for you. Really, really neat. And what a great thing that would be. Now, those funds can be used for college, can be used for trade school. Maybe somebody wants to go to beauty school or barber school, or they want to go be a mechanic or a bricklayer, type of thing. That money can be used for that. So it doesn't have to be to a 2-year or 4-year college. It picks up the trades and other things, other training. It's a really, really good deal. So I picked up on the word lasting, because that would be something if Grandma and Grandpa put some money in there and the grandkids were able to use some of that, all of that part of it for tuition or supplies or whatever it's allowed to use. That would be good. So I told her that, and she said, oh, we're going to call our accountant. Good idea. So that's good for them and good for those people for thinking about that. They have the ability to do that. And by the way, that plan I'm talking about, that's a federal savings plan for sure. All right. A senior man was lamenting that his attorney has retired. He said, now what? Been with this guy, and he's a friend of mine. He retired. I didn't really realize. I thought his retirement was going to be a really good for him, fun for him. Well, it's a pain in the fanny for me. And I said, well, yeah, I'm in the same boat because my attorney retired, my dentist retired, my CPA retired, the mechanic worked on my old car retired, the banker retired, and the yard guy all retired within like a 3-year thing. So you kind of have to start over. It's a reset. And you built that. You built that business relationship, friendship relationship, trust. You spilled your guts out to your banker, so they know everything. But trust me, folks, when they hit the trail, they don't. They can't. They just can't spill their beans. And the attorney, he or she is required by law, Iowa law, when they do that, to give your files to another attorney. And it's a perfect opportunity for you to find your own attorney, call your attorney, say, where did my file go? Well, that went to Attorney Jane Smith or Attorney John Doe. They have your files. If you want to make a change, you can come into my office now before I close the doors, or you can go get your files from them. It's your choice. So that it does create a clean break for you to make some things. Your dentist is about the same thing. You go to a new dentist, they'll poke around in there with that stupid thing that they find and pick at. If you go to your old dentist and pick up your file, you could take it to your new guy or your new lady dentist and start off there. The CPA is a bigger pain in the fanny because there aren't as many as there used to be. I don't know why. It's hard to find one. It's hard to find one to say, dealing with you and all your stuff. Or maybe you've got all kinds of things that maybe they don't want to deal with, all things like that. Maybe you're too small, maybe you're too big for them. So it's kind of a hard fit. So get busy with that for sure. It is normal that everybody retires and kind of leaves everybody out in hanging on the edge here, but it is what it is. So it's real frustrating and a worrisome time for sure. And hope each of them hopefully turned over your files and records to another professional, so you at least have a leg up on who it might be and where you might get to have an appointment with the dentist and see if you like him or her. That's really what needs to do. as I was coming in, I heard about all new scam. Here's the latest scam, not just for seniors, but for, well, I guess I was going to say, but for you and me. Hell, I'm a senior. For anybody, if you're 20 years old or 27 years old or 52 years old, if you've had a bad experience, most likely this was all centered around the travel company. You've had a bad experience with the airlines. And you go online, you go on your Facebook account, I suppose this is what mostly, and you say, here's the deal. I had it with Ozark Airlines. We're going to pick on them because they're out of business, but they used to fly in and out of Iowa City, Cedar Rapids. Ozark Airlines. I'm never flying Ozark again. They lost my luggage. We had to sit on the airport for 2.5 days. They didn't give me the ticket, blah, blah, blah. And so you finally get home, or you go online on your Facebook and you think, Ozark, I wouldn't let my grandma fly on Ozark. They're terrible. Don't ever fly Ozark. Well, guess what's going on, folks? There are bad guys sitting around gonna watch that pop up. They've got the keywords typed into their computer, so airlines pops up, there pops up your thing. So they quick cut a letter to you pretending to be from the customer service department of Ozark, noticing that you've had a bad experience. How can we help? Give us your ticket number, give us your flight number, routine stuff like that. And in order to do that, we make sure it's you. You'll have to give us your social security number. Bingo, you're being scammed. And they ask you all that kind of stuff. Hang up, get off the air, don't go any further. These are bad guys. If you want to talk to that airline, call them on the phone. Call Ozark Airline on the phone. Get their customer service. Don't do this over the internet. Don't do it. This is a scam, and they're all over the place with a cruise ship. People complain about that. We'll never fly with Acme cruise ship lines again. That was ridiculous. We had the motor went out, or whatever. We had to sit in the bay for 2 days rather than go into a small town. The people complain, same thing. The bad guys are just looking around, sitting around for people to complain so they can help you, and they'll help you right out of your money. They'll help you right out of your money, your information, your bank account information, and pretty soon you're out a whole lot more, and you wish you hadn't complained about Ozark Airlines ever again. So just be careful. It only makes sense that there are bad guys out there to take advantage of people. I guess there have been bad guys in this country ever since the Plymouth Rock, I assume. I don't know. But it's just more prevalent, and we're such sitting prayer. We're such honest people. We're such trusting people that we give anything online or talk to anybody on the phone, give them our information. Don't do it. You can talk to my friend, the sheriff of Johnson County. And I asked him one day, I said, Sheriff, there's still bad guys around here. Are there still scams? He just shook his head. And he said, every day. And he said, it's the people who don't need to be scammed. It's people who don't have the money. People who save their retirement funds, and in the end of the day, they end up with nothing. I have heard about a scam going on around town about some people who were trying to buy a house, and they sold their house, and they sent the money to the depository, and they went to buy the other house, and the other house, people said, well, we're not selling our house, and they had sold their house and sent the money, the proceeds from their house, to the bad guys. And now they don't have a house. They moved out. They don't have a house. And the bad guys get the money. Not good there. I would imagine the authorities will step in, but getting your money back is like a crapshoot. Forget it. Wow. So that's kind of the scam, the new thing going around. So just look out. Well, a senior man advises this. We lost the farm outbuilding in a tornado this spring and also had damages to the house. We are wondering if our property taxes will go down because we lost a couple outbuildings and we lost part of the house, damage to the house. And I said, well, I'm sure you called your insurance. Yep, we're dealing with the insurance companies right now. And I said, well, I'm sorry about your damages and your issues. Here is the scoop. And here is the scoop is this. Every year on January 1, the Johnson County assessor or any assessor in the state of Iowa assesses you and your property on what is there on January 1. All right. Now, they're watching the Rose Bowl game just like you are. They're not driving around on January 1, but it's quite easy for them to know that on January 1, if you haven't taken out a permit to rebuild anything, if they know the property was blown away, they happen to see it, or you called them in October or whenever it was, they know that. All right. So you can go down and meet with them. You're going to say, hey, it's now January 15th. I better stop down here when you're doing your new assessments. And our barn blew away in October. Defend yourself. Take some pictures on your phone. Do all kinds of things. It blew away in October. We haven't rebuilt it yet. Let's look at my assessor card, what they call the assessor card. Let's look what you've got on the house is half damaged. We lost the family room type of thing. It's not redone yet. The assessor will make an adjustment. Absolutely make an adjustment. No question about that. Now, the assessor is not in control of your taxes. The assessor is in charge of the assessment value from which the Johnson County treasurer will figure out your taxes. And your taxes are figured out according to your taxing district. So if you live in Coralville and you live in Coralville in the Iowa City School District, here's the millage rate. If you live in Coralville and you're in the Clear Creek School District, here's your millage rate. If you live out in the country out by Oxford, you just have the township. You live on the farm, here's your rate. If you live in Iowa City and you live in the Iowa City School District, here's your rate. It's all laid out, folks. It's all legally laid out. And the assessor then will say, okay, there was assessed at $250,000. This is now assessed at $185,000. And they send that over they make that assessment and legally make the assessment on that property. That then goes to the treasurer, and the treasurer calculates on the taxes, and then you get a tax bill from the Johnson County treasurer. That's always too high. I don't care. The whole farm blew away. It's always too high. That's part of the deal. So that's what happens there. So now here's the other problem with it. So the assessor makes the decision to go from $250,000 to $185,000, and the treasurer bites on that. That's legal. That's what they do. Guess what? It won't be for this year. That'll take effect after July 1, so you'll see the savings in your taxes in your September 2025 bill. Well, you might not live that long to see your tax savings, which is what we all think is going to happen anyhow, So, but it's a slow process. Now, let's go back to your tornado problem. You have a fire or tornado, and your house in April had a tornado, and by Christmas, you have the construction guys out there, and it's all done, all back to normal. What are your taxes going to be? They're going to be the same as they were because you got it fixed, all tuned up by January 1. Now, here's another little issue. In addition to that, you put on another little room. You added on central air. You added a new fireplace, which you might as well. The assessor's going to see that go through, so is the auditor, and they might come out and take a look. They see that now you have a new fireplace that you didn't used to have, and you have 150 square feet more than you used to have. Kaboom, you're going to pay the freight. That is just the way it operates, okay? Do whatever you want to do to make yourself happy to live there. If you have to pay more taxes, you do. But call the assessor, Johnson County assessor. If you live in Johnson County, call the Johnson County assessor. If you live within the confines of city limits of the city of Iowa City, you call the Iowa City Center. And they're both in the same building down on South Dubuque Street. They were both in the Johnson County Administration building, but that's being recabulated at the present time, so they moved right across the street to the building to the north. They're in there. Just go in there on the north side. There's a parking ramp there and parking. It's really easy to do, folks. Go down and talk. Go down and state your case on your damage that you've had, and you've had crop damage maybe. You have different people to call on that. So that's the story. There is help out there. They're willing to help. They have to help. Even if they're not willing, they have to because it's state law. So take matters into your hands. Look out for yourself. My dad used to say, look out for yourself on things, Rex. All right. So a senior caller asks this: can you get more than one urn in a cemetery gravesite? I said yes. Maybe. You need to call the cemetery in question. All right. Well, Rex, who runs the cemeteries out in the country? Well, the township chairman will be the place to start. Who? The township chairman that was on the last ballot, who you didn't ever know. You didn't realize who it was. You didn't have a clue what they do. That's who you call. Each cemetery has a position called a sexton, S-E-X-T-O-N, a sexton. And that person is in charge of that cemetery. And that person, they're out there. They will know who owns this plot, who owns that plot. They'll know the rules of that, and they'll help you with that. So your job, and you don't know who this is, you don't have a clue who that is, you can go online to Johnson County, johnson-county.org or johnson-county.gov, and you can start fishing around in there, and you'll find it. Okay, you'll find out who's in charge of it. That's how you do that. Now, the Corville Cemetery, you can on one burial plot you can have 4 urns, I believe it is. There are other rules. There are other rules that apply. You already have. I'm already buried on mine in a casket. Can I put one on my grave? I don't think you can. It's not. I don't believe you can mix the two. Some people have, and that's not the way to do it. Call the cemetery. Now, Memory Gardens is a privately owned cemetery. Call them if it's Oakland Cemetery. Call the City of Iowa City. That's owned by the City of Iowa City. You can call Oakland Cemetery and talk to the guys up there. If it's St. Joe's, go online. They've got a great website, maybe St-Joe's or St. Joe Cemetery, Iowa City. Get on your computer, you'll find it. And they've got rules on. They just did a new website, by the way. They think they're pretty hot stuff up there at St. Joe's Cemetery because they put together a committee, thank God, over the years, put together a committee, and they sort of like threw a rope over all the information they could muster up as to who's who, who's where, what are our rules, what's going on here, what's available, what's not available. And so you can go online somewhere and go to St. Joseph Cemetery in Iowa City. Just Google it, and the site will pop up. They're really proud of it, and then they tell me they tell me they have a motto or they have a guarantee that if you don't use it, you get your money back. So that's not a very good warranty over there. Well, you tell them I said the line up over there at St. Joe Cemetery. So that's the scoop, folks. You might be making some plans for that, and which has done this. It has caused people to have a husband and wife buried on one plot and sell the other one. That happens a lot. So that's what you need to do. All right. And some of these cemeteries will buy the plot back from you. Well, we've decided to move to Wyoming, and we're going to be buried in Wyoming and not use that one. Call the cemetery, and they'll give you a price for it. There are state laws regarding that. Go to it, folks. Why not? I want you to do that. So, well, guess what? I took a walk downtown the other day, which I do quite a bit. I ride the bus from Corville, go downtown, walk around, and walk home. I took a nice bus ride the other day in downtown Iowa City to see the current status of the torn-up sections of North Dubuque Street. Now, as you remember or don't remember what they're doing up there on North Dubuque Street from Washington Street to the north, from Washington Street up to Iowa Avenue, that one block that we're at in this day and age. A Deadwood Tavern, a Witch is in there, Prairie Lights Books, with Taste of India is in there, Dublin Underground, that block. And they're tore all up. Going to have new sidewalks, new stormwater retention and detention, built-in areas. Those places will have new signage. They'll have there's new street. So I walked up there, and I've been watching the Jackhammer guys. Well, this time I was up there, I think last Friday, maybe, and I walked right down the middle of that street. They got great big fencing around. You can't fall in the hole. Don't worry about that. And there's guys working. They're digging holes. They're running new service line, new service, and new water, and new sewer into all these buildings. It's really, really going to look like $1 million. Probably going to look like $5 million. I don't know what the bid was, but they're really going to it. And of course, it won't be done by football season. I don't see that happening. It didn't look like it would, but they have a lot of signage and fences, and as long as the students are gone, why they're making a lot of progress. But they'll be back. They're already back, some of them. So it's going to hit the fan here pretty soon. We all know that. But it's I was worth a while downtown to see the progress. And I was impressed. When they first started, I was there the first day. They had all the machinery, and they were there banging and tearing up the street up there. They've come a long ways. I was really impressed. Well, the problem that I have doing that is I walked down the middle of that street, and I was looking at the businesses, some of them I just mentioned, but it takes me back to what used to be there over the years and when I was a kid. And that's my problem. I go down the street, and I see a business that, that's where Bob's Tavern used to be, or something like that. I'm never happy with what's there now. I always have to remember what used to be there. And that's the historian coming out in me, but I find it fun to do. And so I thought I'd bring some of that to you today. We're going to go downtown Iowa City, and I got a lot of mix-mashy stuff in here to talk about. But see what you think. So I took a nice walk the other day in downtown Iowa City to see the current status of the torn-up locations of North Dubuque Street. I actually walked right down the middle of the street, and there were lots of guys digging holes and pouring cement. So you kind of had to watch where you're going and Don't dawdle, don't hang around. Just get that way you go. They have a long ways to go. Well, the fun thing was I keep remembering the stores that used to be there in the past. So on the corner, on the north corner, on the east side, the northeast, so be the which would end up for the real estate argument here would be the southeast corner of Iowa Avenue and Dubuque. Be the southeast corner, which would be, if you will, the north end of the block on the east side. How's that sound? It used to be Weichel Typewriter. And I think there's a store there, is it called Dulcinea or Dulcinea, one or the other? It's kind of a, if you will, a ladies' clothes place type of thing. It used to be Weichel Typewriter. It's owned by Cliff Weichel and his wife. And they were really, really good friends. Cliff and Florence Weichel. They were really good friends of my parents. And it was just what it says, Weichel Typewriter Shop. Now, they sold typewriters to students. They sold typewriters to the university. When I was in typewriter class in high school, I had a little badge on them that said from Weichel Typewriter. I think they were Royal typewriters. When I was in typing class in junior high in Cornwall, in the typing room, had Weichel typewriters there. They were all over the place, and they repaired them. They had guys that went to work every day and repaired typewriters. Well, what happened to the typewriter business? First, they went electric. Then the IBM, electric, C-electric, all that kind of stuff. Instead of having all the keys that went up and made the letter, it had a ball in there. IBM Selectric, maybe. I don't know. I don't think they were not an IBM dealer. I don't believe. They were still hanging in there with typewriters. Typewriter in college I had, and so did my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time. Look at her. She had a typewriter in a little case, like a suitcase type of thing. And we'd do reports. She'd do reports for me. She'd do her reports, and I'd do mine. Typewriters were an integral part of school and a business in the day, for sure. And then, of course, now everything's done on the computer, 99%. Some places still have typewriters, no question about it. I've been in them, I've seen them. They're actually worth some money. An IBM Selectric, worth some money. Don't throw them away. You can go to an antique store and find them if you need one. They're right here in Iowa City. I've seen them. So that was Weichel Typewriter. Right next to Weichel Typewriter, just immediately south, was Free Off Leather Goods. Free Off. It's spelled F-R-Y-H-A-U-F, like Freihof. Free Off Leather Goods. And back in the day, back in the 1800s, that store was there. And they made harnesses and whips, and they worked on buggy blankets and all kinds of things like that. A harness shop, belts and probably holsters, all that kind of stuff. That's where it was. Well, back in the day when I was a kid, it was their granddaughter, Mrs. Shara. I think her name in a minute. Her son Gary was one of my real good friends in Corba. Her parents, she was the Freeoff. Frank Freeoff and his wife owned it at that time. And they had leather goods. They had kind of like, well, not kind of like, they had purses and belts and different things, hats. It was a really cool place. And when you walked in the door, it smelled like a leather shop, because that's what it was. And they were in business at that location for, I'm going to say, 90 years, maybe even more. They were really, really going business. And, of course, with the leather, whips went out and the leather goods went out. They sold jackets, kind of a specialty shop. And then Buck's Leather came to town, and Buck's Leather came and went over the years. And the Freeoffs got older. Nobody wanted to go into business with them, so they pooped out. All right. The next was the Hawk's Nest Tavern, owned and operated by Whitey Michaels. And the Hawk's Nest is just what it says, a Hawk's Nest. And it was a beer joint on that side of the street. And then the next door down were let's see, what's there, a sports column there? That was along in there where the Hawk's Nest was. That's where 1 hour Martinizing, 1 hour cleaners were. And Iker Florist was right in there. All these things, yeah, they were. Iker Florist. And then the First National Bank. And the First National Bank didn't used to take up the whole end of that block up to the alley, and there were other things in there over the years. I already forgot what was in there, but there were lots of businesses in there. The bank was basically on the corner. And don't forget that Kerwin Furniture was up there, too, by Freeoffs. K-I-R-W-I-N, Kerwin Furniture, which is where, I believe, where Deadwood Tavern is now. I think that was Kerwin Furniture Store, and it was just what it says, a furniture store. So across the street, on the corner, across the street was, I always liked it, Paris Cleaners. Paris Cleaners owned by the Graham brothers, both World War II veterans, John and Don Graham. Common spelling, Graham. Speaking of that, you got me going here, folks. You got my graham crackers. How did graham crackers get their name? Well, I know you're dying to know. Well, graham crackers are named after a man. I think his name was Ezra or I'm going to say Ezra or Frederick, one or the other. Graham, go figure. And he's from Connecticut, and he was kind of a baker by trade, and he was trying to make up some new kind of a crackers and treats, stuff like that, and he left this out of the recipe or left it in the oven too long, and out came the graham cracker type of thing, and he tasted it, and he said, that's really good, tried it on his friends, and they became known as the graham crackers. Now, I think you could win a bar bet with that information, and if you do, remember where you got that free information on how graham crackers got their name, all right? What do you know? And so across the street there was Paris Cleaners on the corner, and the Paris Cleaners had a big sign out front that said what? It had a great big picture, great big lighted sign, and on each side it had a big drawing, a big trim of the Eiffel Tower, because it was in Paris Cleaners. What a deal! And then after that, what was in there? Well, along in that, right on that corner, was the Best Steakhouse. Do you remember the Best Steakhouse? They moved from the block down, the next block down on North Dubuque Street. They were down there next to the taverns, all the taverns across from Iowa movie theater down there. That's where they were. Donnelly's. They were right next to Donnelly's. Next to Spidell's. Next to Spidell's, a men's store down there. Yeah, Spidell. Well, okay, there was Paris Cleaners, then the Best Steakhouse, and then the Princess Cafe was in there. Now, the Princess Cafe people did what? The Princess Cafe people, a couple of them left down there in 1949. They came out to Corva and started on the corner. The Lowry family came out and on the corner out there and started a new restaurant called Lowry's, go figure, Lowry's, and then it later became the Carousel. So I put all the parts together, you got some real Iowa City history, all right? The Princess Cafe along in there, and then there was Reich's Cafe was over there, and then around the corner, next to the Varsity Theater, the where, Rex? The where? The Varsity, which was across from the Engler. You might remember it as the Astro. It was back in the day called the Varsity Theater. So back over to Dubuque Street, then there were a lot of other businesses in there. Noodles and Company is there now, or Which is in there, and lots of different things have come and gone. The Prairie Lights bookstore, there was a bicycle shop over there until the big fire. Harmony Hall was in there. Now Harmony Hall was owned by a family that I honestly, folks, I apologize, I can't remember their names, but I think their daughter was Betty Melliker, married Bob Melliker in Corwell, and I think their name was Strew, maybe. And my apologies. Anyhow, Harmony Hall was big, and you could go to Harmony Hall, and they had music, and they sold albums, and they had all the stuff. I used to go to Harmony Hall a lot and go dig through the albums. They had a million of them in there. That's where all the students went, so that's where all anybody who knew. Upstairs was Eble Music, E-B-L-E, Eble Music. They sold sheet music. Remember some of these names? If you do, let me help you again now. Right along in there was John Drew's Hobby Shop. John Drew's Sporting Goods / Hobby Shop. And they had Lionel trains up on the wall, and they had like 5 or 6 tracks, one on top of the other, up on the wall. You could see the train set that you wanted to buy. Oh, boy, Mott's was in there, Mott's Drugstore. And I'm telling you, that was a great Racine's that was on the corner. Actually, Bremer's was in here at one time. Boy, what a block that was. That was a real business block. Totally a real business block there. And now today it's totally a business block. When they get it all done, the places will be back in charge over there. It's really going to be on that corner, on the west side, on that corner, at the south end of that, immediately across the street from First National Bank, was Racine's #1. And there were actually 4 stores downtown. And you would go in there, and it was Racine's, Fred Racine's cigar store. And I think the last one closed in 1958 or 59. I remember my dad took me in there. You could go in there, and they had all the games. They had the big board there, like they had the Yankees 2 and the Senators 3 or 1, and they could keep track of all the sports. They knew all the schedule when the Cubs were going to play, and it was just a great hangout for men, if you will. All right, that's exactly what it was. Racine's. They also had one on the south side, across this south of the Hotel Jefferson, like 4 doors away. They had another store, another outlet. That's what it was. Iowa City, downtown Iowa City, was a hustling, bustling place, especially on game days and on Saturday nights. Wow. Piper's was in there, and Comer's was long in there. Lots and lots of great Iowa City stores. The barbershop was in there. Just a wonderful, wonderful block to do business. Well, a trip for downtown for me as a kid was a huge fun day. It included a trip to Barbara's Bake Shop downtown. Oh my God, that was a couple doors, 2 doors east of the Varsity, across the street from the Engler. We also went to movies at the Engler or the Varsity, the Strand, the Iowa, and the Capitol theaters. Just kind of depended on the movies you wanted to see. Most of the Disney ones were at the Strand. The Jerry Lewis and John Wayne's were usually over at the Engler. The Beatles movies and a lot of westerns were on at the Varsity. Lots of cool. We've had a lot of good movie theaters in this town, downtown. I don't know about it anymore. I don't even know if there are any in the mall anymore. I don't believe that there are. I can't really answer that. I know there's one in a building just east of downtown over there. So that's what's going on there. We'd love to go downtown. We did go to Mott's over there on North Dubuque Street because my aunt worked there, and they had it was a apothecary store, kind of a drugstore, and they had heated nuts in that machine that had the big light. Oh, it was a light bulb. Had the little machine went round, and a little carousel went round and round, and they cost about $37 for a really, really small bag. So we'd pool our money. We'd pool like 89 cents, which was a big deal. But we made sure we got cookies over at Barbara's first. Then we go over to Mott's, and if we had enough money left, we'd get some peanuts. And my aunt worked there, so we usually got the next size bag up for the regular size, and then she'd say, "Get out." So didn't want us hanging around there. I don't blame her for that. It's just a wonderful thing. We always went to Iowa State Bank, which is now Midwest One Bank, and we rode the elevator up to the 4th or 5th floor because there was a bathroom up there, and for all the attorney's offices and dental offices in there. And the fun thing about riding the elevator was now, folks, we were 10, 11 years old, 12 maybe at maximum. At that time, it was then the Iowa State Bank business building. It was real quiet in there. It was very, very well constructed. It's old time stuff inside. It's been remodeled, of course, on the main floor. They had a lady, and when we would go there, they had a lady who ran the elevator. She pulled the cage, kind of the mesh fence that went across there, and then you get in there. Where are you going? She knew we were monkeying around. She had a kind of a bar stool type thing. She'd push 4 or 5 to get up there. We'd use the restroom, and then we'd race down the steps, try to beat the elevator when we saw it go back down at the next time around. Well, just a bunch of kids. We went to Yonkers and rode up the escalator, and we stopped in Woolworths, and we stopped in Kresge's. Wilson Sporting Goods. We made a day of it. Went over to Old Capitol Records over next to Joe's because they had 45 records for $1, 45 RPM records for $1. We did that. We made a big. We go to a movie. Of course, we go to a movie. Jerry Lewis movies, Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin movie, the John Wayne movie, all the comedy movies. We just had a wonderful time growing up down there. And I don't know what people do there now. We rode the escalator at Yonkers a few times until they figured out some of the older ladies working in the office were keeping an eye on us. And we didn't bother. We went to Lubin's and tried to read the magazines in the back till they'd run us out. I went to McBride Auditorium and looked at Bird Hall, which you can still do today. It's still there today. We went over to the hobby shop. We went to Novotny's bike shop and just dreamed and drooled over all the Schwinn bikes they had. It was a big day. West Music Company was right across the street on Clinton Street from the White Way grocery store and Novotny's. My. What the memories, just thinking about all those things. Lots and lots of more stores we went to, but that was the deal. We always went to First National Bank and weighed ourselves on that big scale. And I think that scale might still be there. They had that big horse in there, that big steel horse. Folks, this was for a kid, this was a big deal. And, of course, we were threatened within an inch of our life. If we did anything, it would beat us home. My dad would kill us all, hang us in the tree in the front yard, neighbor kids and all. So we were just good kids having fun. So that was my story today. I am so glad you listened. But tell you what, I'm going to throw out the big hook here. Next week, I'm going to have 2 guests. And here's the deal. As seniors, we're one thing in common. We're all hoping to, and we are really getting a little older. So I'm going to have 2 guests next week. I've got Jeff Kalbach, and Jeff Kalbach is the what's his senior aging specialist at the Johnson County Social Services. Aging specialist. What's going to talk to somebody who's a specialist in aging? Well, he's going to be a week older, too, so maybe he'll fit right in. I know Jeff, and he's a wonderful guy. He'll tell you about his background when he gets here. And also, we're going to have Jennifer Jones from the Iowa Nursing College, and she's a geriatric and pain center over there. And, I'm going to have Jen Jones is going to be here. Yep, Jennifer Jones. and Jeff are going to be here, a couple of the people on the planning committee, and can discuss what the events are and the organizations and what they do. So that's next week. So we're doodle aging. I've got a couple things to bring in for sure about some experiences for next week. So you're a senior. I'm proud of you. Happy. Have at it. Take care of yourself till next week for sure. And hang in there. Let's hope the Spencer Lee can win in the Olympics, and keep your fingers crossed for all that kind of stuff. And enjoy yourself, ladies and gentlemen, and go see the State Fair if you're up to it. Thank you so much for listening to Senior Talk. This is Rex Brandstatter saying we'll see you next time. So long.
Your life is always changing.